All right, back to the Equipped Bruised Tired podcast. Here, as always, with my co-host and fellow lifter, I suppose. Describe each other now.
That's the official rhetoric.
Bryce Krawchuk. Yeah, how's Calgary town again?
Man, Calgary got pummeled by a storm last night.
Yeah.
Like there were boats rescuing people on Deerfoot.
What?
There were cars completely underwater, like golf ball egg-sized hail just hammering parts of the city and surrounding area, and we had like a rainstorm in our hood. So we're super lucky, but
wow.
The city got beat up last night.
That's crazy. We had like crazy high winds all day yesterday, like 80-kilometer-an-hour winds, and I figured there must be a storm coming, and I don't think we got anything out of it.
Yeah, no,
sounds like you guys got it all.
We got it. It all came here. How's training with you? You doing some more big raw benching, hey?
I guess I will be today. We're recording Sunday,
okay.
So
right.
I usually train right now, but we did a interview before this that's unrelated to this episode. But so yeah, I'll be training probably just after this, and then hopefully we'll keep pushing the raw bench up a little bit. Having fun doing single leg work. So actually, having as an interesting motivational thing to try and push like single leg split squats and single leg RDLs, and
single leg RDLs, hey?
Yeah, 50 kilos on a single leg RDL is really freaking tough and really makes your glutes sore. I could barely walk the next day. So.
We prescribed some of those in our like no equipment programming that we've been doing for the COVID stuff. And one of the things that somebody found was if you put your rear or the leg that you're not using up against a wall behind you, it can kind of help stabilize you, and you can get a little bit of work out of that leg in stabilizing you. That might allow you to kind of push the weights a little higher.
That sounds like cheating.
I don't know. It depends what your goal is, if it's balance or.
Right now, for me, I think it's to build the stability in the hips. So I think I've also seen like Greg Knuckles do like 1RM single leg RDLs with like 315 or something. But he keeps his rear foot actually like planted about a foot behind him.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, I've seen that too.
But yeah, I don't think I'll be doing any like single leg RDL 1RMs sort of thing. But it's interesting. It was just interesting to have to kind of change perspective and focus on that. And I actually find that I'm more motivated for training right now.
Right.
And it's a fresh block too, so fresh movement's kind of helping.
You can kind of expect progress at that point, right? When you're doing something that you're like, I am terrible at this. I will inevitably be better at this next week.
But it's pretty hard not to be better than this, really. So
yeah.
So that's kind of the interesting stuff going on over here. But you're still on a pivot or a washout?
Yeah. Hopefully find some time to chat with Mike about the next block coming up here today, I guess. Only got 2 sessions in again this last week, but actually feeling pretty good about it all, given that coming into and going through pivot work, if I can maintain squat work with a E1RM in that 300 kilo range raw, then I'm in a really good spot.
Right.
And I was able to take, I think right after my big 320 there, I took like 225 for my first pivot workout and was like, whoa, that's enough. But then I was able to squat 255 for a triple this week, and it was no pain, no issue, no nothing, and all my back off work was fine. So normally at the beginning of a developmental block, I'll have to kind of take it easy for a few weeks, but I think I took it appropriately easy during the washout and should be in a really good spot to start the next block. So that's kind of exciting. Gyms opened up here yesterday too, so not sure when exactly I'll go back, but probably head back sooner rather than later. It's just tough to go from walking down the stairs back to like a 25-minute drive either way. So
yeah,
have to wrestle with that a little bit.
It's interesting because this whole gym closures stuff, like for us, we were set up in a gym called Red Goat.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our equipment was there, and we've been there since either 2016 or 2017, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think 2016. And so we've been there for a few years, but they decided they're going to downsize to a smaller facility earlier. So basically, along with their closure, we also got kicked out and had to find a new space. So
Right.
um, we which actually kind of worked out a little bit because we took all of our equipment and distributed it to members, so everyone's has something at home basically.
Right.
Um, so this is the first time I've actually really trained at home, but now we have to pull everything out of people's houses to put into a new space, and um, I don't know, like I just don't know if people like so gyms reopened here on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
on the 8th, and I don't know if like I'm expecting like a another wave of this and then to close stuff down. So
Who
I'm
knows?
just kind of like concerned about pulling all stuff out of people's houses, putting it in a gym, and then having them close gyms again and having to do it all in reverse.
I think that's
Um,
kind of, yeah.
so I'm really torn because like I'm kind of excited to go train in a new space and our kind of our space again because we had our own space for I don't know 10 years
Mm-hmm.
before sharing that space with Red Goat, and
Oh, I
now
remember.
yeah, you did your first
My
meet there.
first meet was down there underneath the
Yeah,
mall. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So to go back to our own space, I'm excited about that and all that sort of stuff, but I'm also kind of leery about it
Mm-hmm.
and the whole, do we train with masks? Do we not wear masks? Because they're not requiring it, but you should if you're within 6 feet of each other. And so it's all this sort of like excitement, but nervous. And
Mm-hmm.
plus, like, yeah, I can walk across to the garage and train and I mean, and Moose Jaw. So it's 10 minutes to get to the gym either way, but
Right.
it's still it's a process, right? You're packing a gym
Mm-hmm.
bag, you're packing
Mm-hmm.
stuff up, and you're going instead of just walking across and training. And
Yeah.
I'm certainly lucky to have the ability to train with the equipment I have,
Yeah.
and but yeah, so it's kind of a weird like emotional roller coaster of to get back to training with people and train in a new space, and but I really like the convenience of what we have right now. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people kind of grappling with that right now, and I'm not sure there's a clear cut answer or a right or wrong. I think it'll be like a process of sort of seeing how things go over the next little while.
yeah, and it's I mean for a number of people that built home gyms now, like do you stay in
Are
your
you
home
gonna go back?
gym?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Who knows?
um, yeah, it's interesting times for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Training's interesting, and we're hoping to get back to training in a group here soonish.
Yeah.
Um, so that'll be kind of fun. It's been a while.
Well, I mean, people got to get back into equipment at some point, right? So you got to get back to your equipped communities, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the equipped lifting and equipped is that you're kind of, I mean, in most cases, not I was gonna say forced to train with other people, but um, it encourages training with other people
Yeah.
for safety, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Versus now that's to say like Blaine and Mike back in the day, and there's enough people that train
Hmm.
equipped by
Hmm.
themselves, but it does generally build more of a community. I think just the shared experience of pain.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I always said that's why CrossFit's so popular is because everyone goes through hardship together and
Yeah.
they bond.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's definitely something to be said for that. I'm no psychologist, but I think that builds bonds going through
Yeah.
these quasi traumatic experiences. And
Only quasi traumatic.
yeah, I mean, I don't think they can be compared to real traumas, but
That's true. That's true.
um, speaking of community, I think that was a really big topic that we covered with the guest that we're about to kick it over to. We had the opportunity of chatting with Bonica Brown, who has some pretty impressive stats. We spent some time digging through her Open IPF profile and rankings, and she had 40 first place finishes out of 50 results on Open IPF. So pretty much just wins everything. That's both classic and equipped. 10-time world champion between the two, and 13-time national champions between open, classic, and bench only. So just an expert across a lot of different sort of disciplines within the sport. And I think one of the things that came across a lot in chatting with Bonica was how much she loves and values her community and her powerlifting family, and traveling and seeing all these people and what those sort of personal connections mean for her, which is a lot. So we got into some really cool stuff, including her athletic history and sort of some of the ways that she's found to kind of do her own thing within the sport. So, without much further ado, we'll toss it over to Bonica, and we hope you all enjoy, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Well, I'll start by thanking Bonica for joining us today.
Mhm.
So thanks for coming onto the podcast and spending some time with us.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Cool. Awesome. So starting right off, looking back at your competitive history on Open IPF, your first meet that you ever competed in, or at least on there, is called the Michigan Hall of Fame meet. And I'm just curious if that was some sort of foreshadowing for your future success.
Oh wow. So was that in 2003?
That's right. Yeah, 2003.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was
Woo!
actually your first meet, but it was the first one that was in the database. So
Well, I actually one that wouldn't be recorded, my first official USA powerlifting competition was actually in Plainwell in April 2003. So it was called the No Frills, which meant there was no medals, no trophies, no nothing. It was just a qualifier meet to be in USA
Okay.
powerlifting. So that was technically my first meet. So I can see why Open Powerlifting wouldn't have that on record.
Right.
But that was my first meet, and I actually almost bombed out because I didn't understand the commands on bench.
Okay.
And I was a raw lifter, so I know I missed my first attempt on bench. I did get my second, but my third I didn't get. But I almost missed my second attempt.
now remind me, back then there would have been no press command, right?
So back then in 2004, 2003 and 2004, what it was, yes, there wasn't a press command for a short time.
Right.
So like me, I'm one of the original people that went through a lot of these changes of commands and referees on the side. And like back then there was the sternum rule. So you could not go
Right.
below, your xiphoid process, sorry. You couldn't go below the xiphoid process. You had to make sure you had your own motionless pause and then press. But I obviously always had somebody on the side saying press command for me. So that rule wasn't a big change for me.
Right.
But yeah, there wasn't side referees with the hands down. It was all head ref back then. Oh, I sound so old.
That's okay. My first nationals was the same way. There was no press commands, and it was so stressful because like it's just up to the judge to decide. Yeah, he paused long enough.
Yes, exactly. It was just that head ref and then press and go. But I always had the press command, and I always was low. I didn't have to worry about. I wasn't a big archer back then when I went to future nationals and whatnot. But when was that Michigan Hall of Fame meet?
I think it
what
was
month?
October or September of 2003.
Okay, so I might have gotten into some equip lifting. I don't know if I was using a bench shirt by then. Definitely a squat suit and deadlift suit. Bench shirt's iffy. I could have been doing that raw.
Yeah, September of 2003. I just looked it back up.
Yes, I was a little baby lifter back then.
It's really interesting to me that you say that you did that early stuff raw. I think most of the people that I've talked to, as soon as you start competing, you get into equipment. And is it because this was kind of almost like a competition? Or how did that work out?
Well, so when I started lifting, my career started, just to make it super short, I didn't make the volleyball team. So it was either cheerleading or powerlifting for something to do when I was in high school. And so in Michigan, powerlifting, so we had all the high schools would get together and have powerlifting competitions and whatnot. And everything was raw back then, for at least, because it's high school,
Right.
except Plainwell, that's who found the diamond in the rough. But my first meet was December 2002. So that's how I got to do that meet in April, because they saw me a couple times. But so yes and no, everything was raw or equipped. USA powerlifting, yes, all equipped. But when it comes to just high school, it was it was all raw. So yes, I lifted raw. I didn't get into equipped right away.
Right. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah. But so yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I do remember a couple times when Plainwell was hosting meets, there were people that were lifting raw, so it did exist. It just wasn't publicized and whatnot.
Wasn't
I do
really the way
remember
that
some
most people did it, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember some older guys and younger kids were lifting raw in the USA powerlifting meets. going against equipped lifters. So I
That's
do
cool.
remember that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I, like I said, I did some digging today, and it looks like you had a really robust athletic history, right? So you were a track and field athlete for a while. You threw discus, shot put, 100-meter sprint, relay,
Yeah.
and volleyball, as well as playing right defense tackle in high school football.
Yeah, defense wins games.
That's awesome. So like, have you always been really entrenched in sports and really involved in that stuff, or when and how did that kind of start for you to be so physically involved?
It was just school. So like junior high, it was volleyball, and then obviously didn't make the team when it came to high school. So then it was track and field and powerlifting, and then it was my mom that actually pushed me to do powerlifting. She's like, "You can do it. You could do it." Like, because she knew she was strong. My dad was strong, so just like, come on, you got to have some genes in you to be able to do it.
All right.
Basically, what it boiled down to.
That's awesome.
But it's just like my school, we were a small school, and so everybody did sports, and it was fair. Like there was girls that did wrestling at my school, and I didn't do that because I cared about powerlifting more. But I also did Olympic lifting, so like hanging out with Plainwell, the coaches, the football coaches in Plainwell and Portage Northern, they both had two daughters, so they're like, let's swap, you know, sports. I'll teach you weightlifting, you teach me powerlifting, and I got to be thrown in on that mess also. Well, not it's a good mess, not a bad
That's
mess.
awesome.
But I also did Olympic lifting as well, so I just became a little athlete when I was younger.
Awesome. So was it like high school, or sorry, was it like football weight room kind of stuff that exposed you to powerlifting, or like where did that first like, oh shoot, that looks cool, I want to do that kind of thing come from?
Oh, I just didn't make the volleyball team.
So you were already lifting at that point then?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't make the team. It was a 3-day tryout. Basically, I just didn't fit their mold of what they wanted for a volleyball player. And so 2 days later, I started to learn how to do powerlifting. And I learned how to lift in it was a small classroom. That's what our weight room was at my school. So it wasn't like a big fancy weight room. It was like I need to someday I'll go back to Michigan. I need to take better pictures and like measure it out. But I'll say 25 to 30 square foot room. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how I learned the basics of how to lift. And then Todd Miller at Plainwell, like I said, he saw the diamond in the rough and he critiqued me and, then other people along the way to where I am now. But that's how it started in a little classroom. And look at the dirty spot on the wall to keep my head up on squat. That's
so you knew where you were looking at.
Exactly. I'm serious. A dirty spot on the wall. Or like if we're on the bench, it was like something on the ceiling. I don't like that's how I learned.
So was powerlifting like kind of the basis for your athletic career with like track and field and stuff like that? Was powerlifting kind of first?
Yes. Yeah. Powerlifting was first before track and field. And then like doing powerlifting for a couple years, that's how I was able to do football. Like the guys always teased me that I should do football back in junior high because when we played soccer, it was kind of more like little rugby.
Right.
So
okay.
So I was defense to protect the goal, and I kind of ran into people, and nobody wanted to get in my area. So powerlifting helped me get stronger, and that's how I was able to play some football.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, Bonica, you're outlifting me. You should come play football. That was kind of where that started from, or what?
Yes and no. Honestly, I was made fun of for powerlifting because I was getting stronger than the guys, and I was traveling across the states and world, going to nationals and worlds. I was actually getting teased. And so some of the guys, yeah, they were supportive for me being on the football team, but some were not as
pretty
supportive.
Insecure, maybe?
Probably. But then they realized I was a good defense and I was a starter. So then I got respect that way.
Good.
Because I earned my slot to be that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I was made fun of. Yeah, believe it or not. And I was shy. Nobody believes me. I'm a total 180 from what I am now to then. I was a shy, quiet, little naive little girl.
And
No one believes it. I get it.
do you think that powerlifting and sport and that kind of stuff helped you come out of your shell? Do you think that was part of it, or was there something else?
Oh yes, powerlifting, yes, but also just getting out of the high school environment and
Okay.
having my first job at a gym. Gold Gym was my first job, and I didn't even tell my boss that I was a serious competitive powerlifter till like months later, because in high school, like the definition of humble to them and what they like fed us was shut up, don't talk about your accomplishments ever, like complete shutdown, don't even acknowledge anything, basically. So I
Mhm.
was always shunned of what I did. I could never really be proud of myself back then. Um, but out of that environment, being around my coworkers, they made me bring medals and place them on the counter and trophies so they could be like, look at our employee. So
That's
it was
awesome.
them that helped me, be who I am now, the starting of it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool. That's a cool like transformation.
So jumping
legit.
back to, you mentioned traveling to international meets as a young person. At 15, I think you competed at the Open Women's Worlds in
Yes.
2004, which is like incredible.
Yeah,
How
seriously.
like how do you think that experience kind of shaped your perspective on powerlifting? Do you think it had an effect on you long term?
Well, so like I said, like Todd Miller spotted the diamond in the rough, and I was a 90-kilo lifter, and he helped coach and train me. And I was a lifter that came out of the blue. Like all these lifters nowadays are used to social media, and you know who's coming, you know the roster, and you know everybody's numbers. Now we're in the dark ages. We don't know who's coming until they show up to weigh-ins. You don't know anything. So I was legit unheard of, and when I won, it really didn't sink in until like after the competition was over, getting drug tested and being told I got the slot on the world team. And it's just like, wow, you can really do something with a sport. You can go beyond, like even in high school, like being introduced to them, like learning I could go to nationals with this sport. And then now it's like I can go to worlds and compete against other women. Like it is just like even now it's exciting, still like the same fire now and then to just travel, meet people, and just keep doing this sport. And I realized then that it was something that I could do my whole life. And like one of the people I met, Regina Hackney back then and Harriet Hall, seeing
Mm.
them, it's just like I'm in the right sport. I'm glad I didn't make the volleyball team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the truth. I'm glad I didn't make it.
Absolutely. Do you remember where Worlds was that year, or maybe Ryan? Did you
Oh,
have that pulled up?
or France.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
where,
in
sorry?
France.
In France. Okay.
Yeah.
So was that one of your first like big trips too when you were younger?
Yeah, that was my
How was
first.
that experience for you?
I was dumb and I wore my uniform, and that was really uncomfortable to travel in.
Oh, okay.
I was really dumb. And so yeah, it was legit, and oh, like the airports, like I've never flown in my life. So
Hmm.
my first flight ever in my life was Chicago O'Hare to London Heathrow. My first flight
First
ever.
exposure. And that's
Yeah, to airports.
I'm
In a
imagining like
tracksuit.
a 7 or 8 hour flight or more. Yeah.
I was dumb.
Well, so I
But
guess like you also probably learned a lot making those first few mistakes so young, right? Like by this point, you're very seasoned competitor. So,
yeah, don't look American. We got it. Blend in with the crowd. But like a funny story, like in 2005 when my mom and I had to go to Finland for Open World,
mhm.
um, I was dressed plain Jane, so just a. I remember I was wearing a Dayupers t-shirt and jeans, hair pulled back, you know, just blending in. Where our plane was delayed, and also back then people in the airports really didn't speak English. You can find anybody nowadays, right?
Mhm.
Back then, So we're trying to like talk to this lady that our plane was delayed. We need help. She didn't know English. And all of a sudden, a guy tapped on my shoulder. And then he's like, "Are you Bonica Brown?" I'm like, Who are you? I was like, my mom and I just looked. He's like, hi, my name is, I was like, Yari something. It's like, I signed a certificate for your world records. I'm like, we need help.
That's
Out of the
awesome.
blue in Finland. I think we're in the Rovaniemi airport. That's where we were at. So it's Helsinki to Rovaniemi, Rovaniemi to Gili Tornio. And he did all his, Finnish talk and told the lady what was going on, used his phone, called the meet director.
Oh man,
And
that's awesome.
so you do kind of want to stick out in a way.
Yeah,
So you never know who will find you in the airport in the middle of nowhere.
that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely had a lot of those experiences, like running into random people, and always from powerlifting. I feel like every time my wife and I travel, we run into somebody that I know from powerlifting in an airport. I don't know.
It's the best ever. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's pretty cool.
So you
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
No, you good.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So you mentioned that that powerlifting is kind of something you thought you could do for your whole life. Seeing Regina Hackney and what. But you did take like a pretty extended period of time off from 2008 to 2013. Was there any reason you took that time off? Were you still training or?
No, I didn't do any training. Well, I met my ex. That's how we're separated. But I met him, and it was just life, school, and work. So I was going to school, and I was working a couple jobs, and just driving all over the place. And I just stopped. And then years later, and I was working at a gym, and I didn't even get to work out because I was juggling other jobs. And then it's like, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I'm doing something else. I want to start working out again. And so I just found my own drive and motivation again to start training.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I wish I kept like learning from my own mistake there. I wish I continued lifting or doing some type of training. And so I tell lifters now, I'm like, even if you're not competing, that's fine. But please keep lifting because you don't know what you could be. That's like me. I always wonder where I'd be now. Where would my strength be if I didn't stop?
Right.
And
were
so it's like,
you
just don't stop.
were you intimidated to come back to it? Having had the success before you kind of stopped, were you scared to come back and not sure where you would be, or it didn't matter?
No, I was peer pressured. So February 2013, I started working out just to work out. And so like, I really didn't do that many powerlifting movements. I was doing, I was making up my own workouts. I'm good at it. I was doing supersets and just like lifting random things and machines and just having fun and making sure I do my cardio. And then I started getting into the barbell movements. But I knew, and everybody, well, majority of people know, like, you just start out like you never lifted before. So I just started out with low weights. And I just, was doing like, honestly, like I was doing sets of 8s and 10s just to do it because I wasn't planning on competing. But, a power lifter can spot a power lifter a mile away in a gym, right?
Yeah, there's a few giveaways. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of gym members, after a few weeks of studying me, one eventually came up and he's like, well, what competition are you like? Are you training? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I've been out of the game for a while. No, I'm not going to do it. And I asked him when the meet was, and it was like 4 or 5 weeks away or something like that. So that afternoon I went home and, back then it was just Facebook. Okay, yeah, we're going back in time. But back then on Facebook, you could see when you write on other people's walls. And so I wrote on a local lifter here in Nebraska, like, hey, are you going to this competition? Other ladies saw me write on her wall. And like it was Katie Dodge, Regina Hackney, and Miss Priscilla Revick. And they're all badgering me, trying to get me to come back. And Priscilla even wrote, I will pay for your membership and your entry fee if you do that competition. And I'm like, okay, I'll compete. But I didn't let her pay. I felt bad. So legit that day, I printed off the form and filled it out, and I turned in my entry to do a competition 5 weeks later.
And you've
legit.
been back at it pretty much ever since?
Yes, I've been at it since. I lifted raw, And at then we didn't need a qualifying total for Raw Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a week later, Kim Walford's like, see you at Raw Nationals. Because I'd known Kim for years before that, before I took my break.
Right.
And so Priscilla peer pressured me. Kim had her hand in it. And I went to Raw Nationals, and, I just kind of kept going. Legit, ain't making it up. All that happened. I know it sounds crazy. I know.
No,
it's good.
Sounds good. So I want to ask you a little bit about sort of some of your work between both Raw and Equipped, because you've been really successful in both. I believe right now you hold 2 Equipped world records and 4 Classic world records.
Yes, yeah, I have. So Equipped, it's just the squat and total, and Raw, it's the squat, bench, single bench, and total. Yeah.
Just the squat total world record. So
but I hold that squat dear to my heart more than anything.
Absolutely. Have you always kind of had this sort of dual focus with your lifting, where you're really pushing both Raw and Equipped, or does it kind of ebb and flow? Or can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you? Does it just depend on what meet is next?
Yep. Like, I focus on what competition is coming up, and I know the other competitions are there. They're like, I don't like saying back burner, but they are, because they're the next one. But I do think about that also. So I just focus on what I have to train, and then I just split my workouts into Raw and Equipped, and I listen to my body and hydrate and food whenever I can't sleep, but it's just one competition at a time. Is just like what I'm always just focused on.
Right.
And did you find like you had to work harder maybe at Classic or Equipped, or have they both kind of come equally natural to you?
Oh, no, I had to work hard at both.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
But it's also just getting the workout partners around. So, like, at one of my gyms I go to, like, if there's nobody around, I don't get a bench workout in, for Raw, because I'm only going to go so heavy by myself with that lift off. And I look at guys like Taylor Atwood, I'm like, how are you lifting off that much weight yourself? Oh my goodness, I can't do it. I'm doing like half the weight, but so I'm also limited, and after every workout, when somebody's there to spot me, I tell my spotters with gratitude, I'm like, thank you. If you weren't here, I don't get a workout. And if you weren't here, I wouldn't be a champion. So it's thanks to you that I'm able to get far into the sport. It's not just me, it's everybody else around. And I tell them every time.
And so have you always had that community aspect, or were there times where you kind of, were craving that and maybe it was tough to find at certain gyms and stuff? Because I'm not sure where all you've lived and what all gyms you've gone to. But is that something that's been pretty consistent? You've been able to find good training partners?
Yes and no. My main gym, which is Bob's Fitness Center, it had a great community, but then just one thing after another, all the guys disappeared. And it's like, I'm left. And the joke is, and it's true, it's just, so they all got married, they all get girlfriends, and they're kind of gone. And I'm like, well, no girl's going to take me away, so it's okay. So I'm still remain. Everybody else left. But I do go to another gym, Omaha Barbell, and that family community is awesome. They're always there to help, and they're excited whenever I lift, especially training for Dubai. They're like, "You gonna do more weight? You gonna do more weight?" I'm like, "No, it's back off." We're easing into this equipment stuff, guys. Like, we got 10 weeks. We're okay.
I think that's the kind of community you want, right? Are those people who are like rooting for you and almost want it as bad as you do for you? That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have one more question here, specifically about, and I don't know if I've spoken to you about this before, but I really, really enjoyed that video that you did with White Lights Media about your trip to Reykjavik and those the Reykjavik games specifically. So to start off with, you talk in that video a little bit about how you like to come into meets without a plan, right? Like without necessarily maybe knowing your openers until you get to the warm-up room or until you get to how things are feeling. Has that always been the case, or is that something that kind of recently developed? Was there something that happened to make you start, framing meets this way, or yeah?
So when it comes to like Team USA, like the coaches, they always want your game plan like 4 weeks ahead. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I got 4 more weeks of training. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And then like I ran into it too many times. Whatever's written on that piece of paper, that's all they will follow. They won't divert off of that. And I don't like that.
Okay.
And it's like anything can change. Like I might want to go lighter. I want to go heavier. I don't know. And it started like it was annoying starting in 2016. And then actually 2018, when I went to Worlds in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
that was the first time I had no game plan. And that was one of my best competitions of my career.
Awesome.
And
so just kind of going in
just,
and taking what's there.
yeah, like I have ideas of my openers. I'm like, I'll just give you my openers. And then like when it comes to warm up, they want to stick to that warm up plan so strictly. I'm like, whoa, I want to do my second warm up set again. My body's not ready for the next weight, Like, so, and it was funny, actually, Worlds last year, I gave Arian like a written down piece of paper of my warm ups. He's like, why are you handing me that? You know your warm ups. You just tell us what to put on the bar. You're solid.
Yeah.
And so being a rebel, being rebellious, I obviously gained his trust. And he knows I'm not going to screw around. Like, yeah, I do minorly, like with jokes and whatnot, but like, I'm there for business. I'm going to accomplish shit. And whoops, I cussed. And we're going
That's
to
okay.
get.
That's okay.
And we're on a mission. We're going for the gold. Like, so, and he knows I always try to give it in kilos, and they just load it, and I just go for my set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you found it maybe like a little bit confining to have too much scripted out ahead of you. And I get that. I think there's so many things that can change on the day, so many things that can be better or worse than expectations. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate that approach.
Exactly.
Doing it that way, which is really interesting to me because I generally have a good game plan, but like I've also played through like all the variables in my head and all the like, what if I miss my opener? What if I miss my second attempt? Sort of thing. Like, do you do that kind of stuff, visualization beforehand?
Well, if I miss an opener, obviously we're just gonna repeat it, But like majority of the time, whatever my opener is, I tell like the coaches. So especially quick, James and Jeff, love them. I love them so much. I just say I want 25 pounds. Or like, no, this is what I like. I like communication. And so after every attempt, they come up to me and they say, hey, I think you could do this. You could do that. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We communicate, not just, all right, we're going through plan. Bye, go over there. I don't like that. I want talk to me. Let me kind of know what I'm doing, because hearing that, okay, well, I guess kilos. Like I always say kilos. I kind of go back and forth my time, but like, I'm going, okay, I'm doing a 10-kilo jump. So I kind of prep my mind and body. We're doing a 10-kilo jump. We're doing 15 or 20 or 12 and a half, 5, whatever it is. I can get into that mental state. I don't know what the full number is. I just know that jump and I get ready. So that's what I like. It's communication. And then like knowing the coaches are there in my corner and we just all agree on the same board.
Yeah. So just being a part of the process, basically, right?
Yes. Yeah. I just don't like it like I'm the little puppet and we do what you want with you. No.
Yeah.
So do you like to talk more about that? Do you like to know what's going on in a meet? Like, do you like to know your placing? Do you like to know what your competitors are doing? Or are you kind of like head down, I know I need to do a 10-kilo jump and let's just go do it?
Both. It kind of depends. And I do want to say, I do let Jeff and James like, I don't care what you put on third attempt. Let's go. Whatever. Don't tell me. I do that also.
Right.
So it's both. It kind of jumbles around. Like the World Games, I honestly did not know how neck and neck the whole damn thing was until I watched it on YouTube. And I was giving a stink eye to the wrong girl. I was like, oh, I was competing against that one? Oh, so wrong person. I didn't know it was neck and neck. But like that competition will always stick with me. Like James is like, you have to pull this. We got the number on there. You can do it. Just go out there. you know. And so that's also a good thing at the time, like a few years ago, not working with kilos. I don't know what's on the freaking bar. I can't do them. I can't. I know 4 reds and the 2.5 was, 500, and that's it. Anything above, below, out the door. No idea.
That's cool. It actually goes to a question I had about that World Games actually, and it was such a tight race between you and Tatiana, and that you needed that third deadlift to win. I wondered if you kind of knew what was going on, and if you knew what you kind of went through in your head beforehand. Like do you? I don't know. I was just curious going into that because it's your third attempt. You have to pull this to win. Kind of what was going through your head?
Well, like I didn't have it. So, like, both, I would say for Leanne and we both lost 10 pounds before we were competing. And so we all lost weight that we didn't want to lose. But I also made it harder because, like, everybody else was weighing less. I'm like, well, at least I caught up and lost weight. And it's a battle of wills. I kind of knew what I could do. I didn't do what I wanted in squat. I was like, I only did 684, 685 or something. And I was wanting to do 700 that day. I didn't do that. And bench, like 8 out of 10 of us, we all didn't get our first attempts. So I lost, I only got 1 bench in. So I lost numbers there. And so when it came to deadlifts, I'm like, James, do the math. Just do it. We stuck, we might have raised my opener a little bit, get something solid in. And then James just did the numbers game after that, and he knew what I wanted and wanted to go for it and be the super heavyweight to get that gold. Yeah, so it's all thanks to James. and Jeff keeping me cool and give him my music.
Yeah. And so before that deadlift, were you doing was that where the line dancing started, or did the line dancing not come around until 2019?
Oh, when did the line dancing come around? I wasn't line dancing then. I think that. Well, no, I did do. Yeah, because that was 2017. I started to think line dancing that winter is when I started. So 2017, no, it all came around in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's when I learned it.
The reason I bring up the line dancing is because I always go back to that, and I think that's such an awesome example of sort of the way that we can think about pain and injury, especially in the context of a meet. Because coming into that, I was watching again that White Lights video, and 170 in the warm-up room is really hurting you to unrack for your squats, and you ended up I think squatting over 200 that day.
I have no idea.
and then going through most of your deadlifts as well. But just kind of seeing you adapt to that situation and be like, okay, this isn't ideal. And then come from this place of like, oh crap, to then dancing before your third deadlifts. Is that something that you've done before, or something that you've been able to, like, that process? Have you dealt with many injuries before? What can you tell us about how you mentally approach those kinds of things and roadblocks?
I always look at everything with a positive, and always try to get a positive out of anything and everything with every competition. And you never know what's going to be thrown at you, and you got to be like a quarterback. You're like, whoop, he's blocked. We're going over here.
Right.
But yeah, like the trainer, he like overstretched and overworked my back so much that it was just so wobbly, and I was not stable. I felt like this the whole entire time, my low back, while I was trying to squat. My muscles were fine, but just my low back, it was not stable. And so what I always believe in, so you got to find what makes you happy. So like for me, like when I warm up, like my first warm-ups before working out, they're like happy songs that make you smile. Just like in the movie Creed, when Rocky finally said he would train Adonis, he played some goofy, funny song and gave a little speech about that. And it's like, oh, that's what I do. I've been doing, look at that, it's in the movie now. Oh. And so, yeah, I was sad. I was very depressed. And I'm still embarrassed about it to this day, because I was wanting to go in there and I trained so hard. I knew what I could do. I wanted to set all the records, and then it was taken away in a matter of minutes. And I felt so, and will still feel like a disappointment, honestly. I felt like a disappointment. I didn't put on, because, like once you get into elite lifter, everybody wants a show, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. The travel, up to the competition, food or sleep, and actually before the World Games, I moved 4 times, 4 different locations before I competed
During that
to
training
get air
cycle?
conditioning. No, days before the competition. That's how I
Oh,
lost weight
shoot.
also.
Okay.
I moved 4 times.
Yeah.
But in Iceland, it's just like, I'm not gonna bomb out. I don't want to. I'll never. I do not ever want to bomb out of a competition. I'm not gonna wimp out. I'm just gonna be strong, and I just had to do every ounce of will, and I'm just gonna do what I can on that platform to push my body a different way. The line dancing, it makes me happy, but also my favorite song to dance to is "Moves Like Jagger," so that's what's in that video, and so that it moves your hips, and it alleviated the pain long enough to go out on that platform. The bench, I could barely get down and up. I didn't have an arch. I had no leg drive because I was thinking positive. You know what? I can't squat or deadlift. I'm going to go for the bench record. So that was the other motivation. Even though the other 3 are off the table, I could still go for that bench. You just have to get a total. But no leg drive, no arch. I couldn't. I didn't have it.
Yeah.
But I'm still happy that I had a decent bench that day.
Absolutely.
And then the deadlifts, I just did conventional and just one deadlift. I couldn't do the pain. I couldn't, get down there and, just hold it long enough. I'm like, okay, down. Okay, I'm done. Yeah.
I think that might be the new Bonica Brown like signature T-shirt that just says no bomb outs and no wuss outs.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't gonna like Samuel, he was the one that was doing all this. He's like, I know other lifters that if they were you, they would just walk out and just leave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. No. I'm
think
gonna make a total. I'm gonna get a total.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Ryan,
dun, dun, dun.
Sorry.
Maybe we'll get into some equipped or more equipped specific stuff.
So you talked about if you're training for equipped, you kind of focus on that. If training for raw, you kind of focus on that. When you're training for equipped, like, are you in your equipment a lot? Are you a weekly kind of equipment person, or kind of like a once every 2-3 months sort of thing?
Well, I'm gonna have to get into equipment soon if our nationals is still going.
Yeah.
But it's once a week. Like squat once a week. And then I deadlift, once a week, and then the bench once a week,
Right.
because I go to Omaha Barbell, and so we train as a team. And there's no way I'm going to do all that in one day, like, raw. I just pray that I'm okay when I go to a competition. But no, we just have our team effort, and like my numbers, like, and they go up and down. I have heavy weeks and light weeks. I just listen to my body. But I think the squats, I'm going to alternate like raw and equip, because I ain't going to sit there and, do a. I think it hurts me to constantly do like 6 whatever every single week. So I might back down, do a raw week, and then go back to the equip, let the CNS recover. But yeah, I never get a true training cycle. So I kind of have to, it's kind of different every time when I get ready for a competition.
Yeah.
So kind of like on average, how many weeks out from your competition would you start getting into your gear?
I started looking. I think I should this weekend because our competition. I think I should. Or maybe next weekend. I started looking at the calendar like, oh, it's June. We better get going on that.
Because you guys, you're middle of August, is that right, or end of August?
Yeah. Let's see. I booked the ticket. I think the 13th or 14th of August.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, oh, I should do that.
So that's what, 9 or 10 weeks out at this point?
That's good.
Something like that. Yeah.
That sounds good.
I think that sounds fine.
Well, our gyms are just like, so here in Nebraska, it was 2 weekends ago. We could have more people in the gym, because before that it was only 10, including the staff. Omaha barbells where I do all my quip lifting. It's like we can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then last weekend was fried doing the, the coaching course and other things. And so this past weekend was just like, oh, just get in the gym and just see everybody, figure out a game plan, and then we'll start playing equipped. So not totally my fault, you know. We were limited.
I don't think either of us are giving you shit for it. It's okay.
No. I'm not in any gear right now, so
Yeah.
When's your nationals?
we had it in
We did it in
March. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why you're not here.
It was like the week before the world started falling apart. So
Oh, you guys are lucky.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Yeah.
So did you train in Texas for a while?
No, I go visit my friends. We always go to the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I also managed to dig up some YouTube footage of you doing really heavy calf raises. With
Abe.
with Abe and Anas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those weekends I go to Dallas and visit.
Okay, sweet.
Metroplex.
So, and like you actually really had that thing loaded up. I don't think I could do that on a calf raise, which makes me think that like, do you train your calves regularly? And as more of a normal picture or a normal question rather, do you do a lot of things that you think go against what most people would think is like standard powerlifting training? Do you kind of just like go in and do stuff that you feel like is fun as opposed to just slogging through only squat, bench, and deadlift? Or how do you kind of structure your programming?
Both. Both. Like I do a program, like Charles Buckland is my coach. But yeah, I still do my squat, bench, deadlift. But I do venture off, and I'm like, I'm gonna do log press today. I'm gonna do I venture off and play with strongman stuff. Like
Okay.
I'm gonna play with the yolks. Let's try to pick this up and walk with it. You know. So there's structure, and I am rebellious, and I'm like, I'm bored. I'm gonna go play and do something. Or like, I'm gonna do a bodybuilder workout. Yeah, it's like, hey, Juan, when's your next back day? Or, oh, okay, I got the shoulders. Okay, we'll do a shoulder workout. I'm like, whoo. You wore me out. You broke me, Juan. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
So you get a little spontaneous with it then.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
I venture off and play.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta do it every once in a while. I got to spice it up.
Yeah. So I seen you do some like strongman training on your Instagram and stuff. Have you ever done or dabbled in strongman competitions, strong woman competitions, I suppose?
Yeah, I got peer pressured into that too.
I'm seeing like
a week and a half notice that I was doing my first strongman competition. I was like, okay. Because on coincidence, I was going to Texas, and I called her my twin, Brittany. She just take me and just put it in like a 4'10", 4'11" body, strong woman, just like this little muscle beefcake thing. We're so much alike, it's unreal. And I'm like, Brittany, I can watch you compete. This is awesome. Next day, yo, you're going to do this competition with me. What? What are you talking about? What? Oh, like, what are the events? Oh, heck no, I ain't doing no Atlas stars. But no, she's like, you're doing it. I'm like, okay. And so I flew down there 2 days, and I've never had the stomach flu thing before. Like the lining of your stomach is constantly being like torn. Well, I felt like crap. But 2 days prior to the competition, I learned how to do the continental clean and press, get the gist of picking up the Atlas stone and carry a keg. And then I did it. I had fun.
Yeah.
And how did you do on the day? Did it come together for you?
On the death. Yeah. Oh, I fired up this one chick I was going against. Oh, she was mad. Because I came out of the blue, and Brittany's like, you're competing against her. You're giving her motivation because she complains about how no one ever go against her. I'm like, thanks, Brittany. Throw me to the wolves. Okay. This little power lifter coming in here. But I did. She gave me the evil eye the rest of the day after them deadlifts and continental clean and press. Oh, man. And then, well, obviously I didn't win, which it was okay.
Right.
But, man, that chick was fired up. And she just like, boom, the rest of the events. So that was good motivation.
Yeah, that's good. And again, coming out of nowhere, you seem to like to do that, hey?
Yeah, that's what I did. So then after Raw Worlds in 2019, then I had like 2 or 3 weeks to actually train to do the strongman competition in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And it came out of the blue again. I thought my competitor didn't know me because I kind of lied to her. I said, "Hi, my name's Felicia."
Felicia.
But she knew who I was. I'm like, how do strongman competitors know powerlifters? I'm like, I don't know any of you guys. She knew who I was, and I kind of beat her, and she wasn't very happy because in strongman, at all the local competitions, you have to get first place to go to nationals.
Right.
And so I came out of the blue, and I beat her, and so I forced her to go to a different competition to get first place.
Yes. Okay. And she was none too happy about that, I take it.
No. And I had to tell my real name and who I was. And then other people were like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "Oh." I thought I could hide, and I didn't hide very well.
All right. So we have a segment on the show called Gearhead where we talk a little bit specifically about your powerlifting equipment, what you like to use, suits, which cuts, which brands, which whatever that you like to use. So what are your favorite pieces of equipment, and what do you like train or compete in?
I'm a Titan girl.
Okay.
And I get my custom suits, and if I like, I honestly I get them altered by my friend Mike Haffenbrack. I'm like,
Okay.
"Mike, help me." And if I get to see him in Texas, I bring my suits with me, and he gets his tape measure and his little notepad, and he like wrenches them up because he always complains how they're never tight enough. And so, like he helps me out with that. But I wear my Super Centurion squat suit, a Super Katana bench shirt, which is actually a bench shirt from Jeff Snyder. It fits
Okay.
me like his bench shirt. I just take it. It's like it fits. I'm not doing anything to this thing.
Perfect. Okay. Is that a low cut super katana or a regular?
Yeah, it's a low cut one. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not
Okay.
super low. Not low enough. That's a little boop. Oh, my knee wraps. I only like to use the titanium because they're nice on my skin. And that's the truth.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a little princess.
And have you tried the other like other types of wraps, and they're just not?
Yeah, they hurt.
Yeah, they do.
They hurt.
I feel
That's
that.
the truth. I don't want to be in that much pain.
So do you do? You said sorry, I forget his name. Does all your gear modifications for you?
Yeah, Mike Hackenbrack.
And do you do a lot of modifications to your stuff, or just whatever he makes you do?
Well, like it's whatever. So when I get into my equipment now, I just put it on, see how it feels or whatnot, and I send him videos to show like, hey, this is how like my hands are getting into this, and like show him the straps. And if there's any adjustments needed, he writes it down and I mail it to him because he's in Texas.
Mhm.
And then he does it, and like once he gets it, he does it that night. No matter what he's doing after his tasks of the day, he will stay up late and do it, and then he gets it out in the mail the next day to me, and I get it back within a week
Yeah.
for the next training session.
That's a good friend to have. What's this guy's phone number?
I'm
just kidding.
I'll send you his Instagram. It's half lift or something. I always have to type it in.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a sweetheart. Like he actually coaches the Sam Houston team.
Okay.
And like I donated, like, so when I was a younger lifter, obviously a 90 kilo, I can't fit into that now. And when he started his team, I gave him all my old equipment, like 30 some pieces of equipment to start his team up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you have old stuff, you can send it to him. He always needs it.
Yeah. And so with those modifications, do you have preferences? Like, are you a tight strap kind of person, tight hips, tight legs? Is there anything specifically where you're like, if I'm not getting the pop I need, this is what I'm going to tighten up?
The hips and my thighs are what we always do. Because I'm kind of gifted in the front here, my straps can't be super tight because so whenever anybody puts my straps on, they're always complaining that it's loose. I'm like, don't worry. I get down in the hole, it's not loose. That's where you want it. That's where you want to be the most compressed. If it's tight here, trying to get it on me, I can't get down because I have to go through like all this in the front. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, because of my body style, my straps are loose, but everything else is fair game to be tight.
Okay.
Everything else is fine.
Yeah.
Not my straps. Maybe a little bit. Little.
Is that the same in your deadlift suit?
Yeah, same thing with the deadlift suit. Like if it's because I can't breathe because all this gets pushed in, and I'm just like, yeah, can't breathe. But yeah, same game with the deadlift suit, definitely.
And so, what about your bench shirt? Are you like prefer tight sleeves or okay? So that was the piece that you got from. Sorry, what was the name again?
Jeff Snyder. He's a bench only guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you just will never make any modifications to that because it fits perfect.
No, I just got to get a new shirt of that stuff.
Okay.
Like of his. I'm like, Jeff, what is the newest serial number of your bench shirt? And I'm going to give that to Titan, and that's what I'm going to get because it fits. So apparently, him and it just works.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I ain't fixing it.
I think that's specifically a thing with bench shirts. Like when you find that one, did you have the same kind of back and forth and going through a million different styles and sizes and modifications and crap just to get a bench shirt to work for you? Is that kind of where this is coming from?
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out what was ever wrong with my old shirts, and it just wasn't the right style, wasn't the right cut, and then all of a sudden, like when I was in North Carolina, and Jeff's like, let me bring a shirt, let's see if it fits you, and it just fit. And it was just like
put it in your gym bag and drove away.
Yeah. And I could bench for the first time. I could bench. I just couldn't believe it. So it's just unreal. I just like still like it was amazing to just after so many failures and like so much trying and frustration. And it's like you have to you can't just like I can't be like Jen Thompson and equip, do equip squat, equip deadlift, and bench raw. I can't do that.
Right. I don't think many people can. Yeah.
No, so it's like I have to bench, and so it's all thanks to Jeff that I was able to, be a decent kind of bencher person thing. Yeah.
Sweet. Maybe we'll move on to.
I was gonna say, sorry, like flats or heels for squatting.
Oh, my heels. I've always. Ever since I started lifting, it was always heels. And I'm just like, if I have to walk up to the bar and show somebody how to squat, I have done it in like flats. I don't like it, but I have to think about it more to demonstrate. You know how you're just on the fly, you're in the gym wanting to leave, and it's like, okay, you got to help this person. And you just do it. So but no, always heels my whole career.
Yeah.
Whole career.
All right.
And then deadlift shoes. Wrestling shoes. I still have the same pair. Yeah, I have my same pair since 2004.
Yeah.
They've seen some miles.
Hey, they're okay. They're so good. I'm just like Eddie Cohn, okay? He says his deadlift shoe from the 80s. I got mine from early.
That's fair.
Goodwill store in Plainwell. Proud of it.
But you don't squat in your sneakers anymore that you started in.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Okay. When I say real career, like 2004 is when I got them. I remember that. That's when 2004.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I saw that photo too, and you had specifically commented on the sneakers that you were rocking for that squat.
I was like,
very Dave Ricks. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You guys have the same shoes.
Yeah, I had the Addy Stars, I think is what they're called, the ones that were made in Germany, the Adidas ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I still got them. They're over there. I don't wear them, but I still got them. Almost whole career. I correct myself. I forgot.
Very close to though.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to dive into some questions from listeners because I think you saw Ryan and I put up some question boxes on our Instagram and we had a few people respond. The first question that came through was from one of our listeners was, why are you so awesome?
Can
you answer the question?
I just a positive person, I guess. And I just have the mental drive, self-motivation, and just keep going. And I don't like negative things, and I block it out. Just like Reykjavik, I'm like, yeah, I'm in a bad situation. I'm going to make the best out of it. And I just like to do anything and everything that I can, because it's fun.
Yeah. It definitely seems like powerlifting's a really like fun thing for you, hey?
Yes, like it's family. Like you guys are my powerlifting family. And that's what I look forward to. Like going to any competition, it's like, what family members am I going to see? It's like who you look forward to. And like I love it.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And then next question. This is kind of outside of our boundaries here, but thoughts on squatting 300 raw?
Like 300 pounds or 300 kilos?
Kilos.
Kilos.
Sorry, we're in Canada.
Hey, y'all Canadians, you guys use pounds and kilos. Don't lie.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're measurement fluid.
300 kilos on raw, of course. That's like, of course, a long-term goal because that's a cool number. Like, yeah, I want to do that. I was supposed to do 275 at, Raw Worlds. I chickened out and did 273. And I should have done that because if I was doing the math, like I could have gotten third best lifter. So I'm like, well, I screwed myself out of that. Didn't know I was that close. Yeah.
There'll be other opportunities, I suppose.
Yeah.
Another one we got here was, what do you love most about Omaha Barbell? Assuming this from one of your training partners.
Yeah, I wonder who. I'm curious. Honestly, it's the people. Like, I like going in there, and they're all. What's so cool? They're just like, this is in some other gyms too, but like, well, there's a couple good things. Okay, so like there was somebody there to spot you, and actually get mad at me when I don't ask for a spot when I should have. But they're always there to help you. Always there, safety, 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 and like. I remember one of the first training sessions in my squat suit, like I walked away, like obviously it was, okay, sorry, it's in pounds. It was 6 something. So all those plates, because we're using pound plates. Right. And I walked away to take my suit off. It's like, hold on, let me get this suit off. I'll be back to help unload. I came back, it was gone. All unloaded. It's such a community. I was just like, well, I felt bad. I'm like, I could have helped. I was just restricted. And I needed to catch my breath. But it's just the community and how they just help each other. And like a friend, he actually got mad at me. I went to the airport and rented a truck because I wanted to get a TV stand and my car wasn't going to hold it. And he found out. He's like, why didn't you ask me to use my truck? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, next time ask me. I'm like, okay. So it's just like they're really dense family community. That's what's awesome about them. Just always there to help.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place.
It is.
And somebody else asked specifically about your bench shirt, whether you prefer angled or straight sleeves.
And if you have Jeff.
That's what I was gonna say.
It is angled, and that was one of the problems. It's like everybody kept telling me that I should have a straight sleeve, and it wasn't working. And they're like, "No, this is for you. This is your body style, the way you march, and blah blah blah." And then put on Jeff's shirt, angled sleeve, low cut, total opposite what I was told was the formula for me. Mm-hmm. It didn't work. So it's angled sleeve.
Cool. I think there's like even a bit of a lesson in there for a lot of people listening, maybe, that sometimes going against the conventional wisdom of like, this is what should work. That might not always be the answer.
Oh, I break a lot of rules. What are you talking about? A lot. I break a lot of those dumb rules, especially with deadlifts. Like have the bar against your shins. I can wear a thigh highs. They ain't going to get nicked because the bar does not touch my shins. Because if I do that, I'm too far forward. Right. So the bar is actually like 3 inches away from me, 2-3 inches away. I cannot ever have the bar against my shins.
There you go.
I know. See, look at that. Everybody's like, what?
No, that's good. That's perfect.
And like at one time, I had a super wide grip. And it's like I had my back strength. I needed my back strength to help me lift it. And I was and like everybody's like, get as close grip as possible. But us big lifters, we can't have a narrow grip on deadlift. And I told that to Joe Capolino. He finally listened to me, widened his grip. Now he's doing 800 easily now. It's like, see? Like, everybody, like, I break rules. What you mean?
It's good. No, that's perfect. I love that idea of challenging those kinds of things. Yeah.
So one more listener question. I'm worried that this might be you might hurt someone's feelings by not answering this properly. But the question is, who is your favorite meet traveling partner? I don't know if this is someone specifically asking because they want you to call them out, or if it's just a random curiosity.
Who's traveled with me? Oh, it's David. Well, what depends. Like, I road tripped with Danny Thurman, and we had a blast together. Like, David Garcia would come, like, he would fly to the competitions, and we would have fun. Dennis Cornelius, we're trying to be travel partners. We were, when we were leaving, oh crap, what competition was it? We flew from somewhere to Chicago. And then we were trying to go to Belarus and all that together. We're going to do that. Meet traveling partner. What other competition? I travel alone a lot.
And maybe this is just honestly a random question, and it's not like someone looking for the name drop. I don't know.
I answered it like 3 different ways. I'm like, well. Yeah, that's who I traveled with because I'm always alone. Those are the
That's
people
fair.
I did
That's good.
travel with.
Okay. Sounds like you covered your bases, so nobody can get pissed off now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we have a few more questions here, and these ones we ask everybody. So we'll start off with what would you say is the highlight of your lifting career so far?
When I had the 9 for 9 day and setting all 4 world records in Canada in 2018. That having that, there's a lot that great highlights, but to say that you got all 4, and that was the day that I actually my bench surprised me. So like I had a low opener, and then Ari and I, we looked at each other. We're like, your own warm-ups are awesome. Let's up the opener, and we did, and and got the record that day. But that's one of the many. But that one.
I wonder how many times that's been done in the Open. It'd be interesting to see it. Probably not that many times in the Open to set all 4 records in a day.
I think Sergey was the only other one.
Yeah.
Like I did it when I was a sub-junior lifter as a 90 kilo back in the day. And like we even got to do 4th attempts at our nationals a couple years.
Okay.
We did it that way too. But on the raw side, I think Sergey was the only other one.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty. Like I can't think of any examples of that in the Open that I've. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. That
was my prep. But of course, like squatting 600 raw and then finally doing 700 officially in a competition, like the one that mattered, like Worlds. Because like that year at Nationals, I did 699. I did not want to do 700 at Nationals. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want 700 here. I want 700 where it means the most at Worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I know this isn't your strong suit, but what would be like one of your lowest points of your lifting career, and were there any lessons you learned from that?
Well, obviously Reykjavik. Finland in 2015. I was very naughty. Yeah. I was a tourist before competing. So I was a tourist in Oslo for 2 days, walking around and sightseeing. And that wasn't a good day. Not that great of a day of lifting. And like Worlds in Belarus, it was a so-so day. But that competition, I learned that I always took like a week off of like no lifting. That did work for me for a time. It did. But that competition, I felt like crap. I was taking baths. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then the day after the competition, I felt the best. In that competition, I learned that I need to keep lifting before I compete.
Okay.
So like that one, I was just achy and sore. Ugh, was not good. But those are like the biggest ones that I've had. Especially Reykjavik, like I said. I still feel like a disappointment, but Samuel says that was like his favorite, documentary that he's ever done. But I still feel I disappointed people basically because I was wanting to, we all want to put on a show for everybody, and I didn't do that. A different kind of show, like I guess find a willpower to keep going.
Yeah.
But not lifting heavy weight like we wanted. Or yeah. And I guess Strongman Nationals. That was the actual downfall.
Okay.
When I went Strongman Nationals,
right.
I actually I really don't know what I did. I guess a tendon, ligament, I don't know. It like got stretched in rubber band. It didn't break. It just got stretched. And on the first uh, event, which was log press, it was my best event. And so the rest of the competition, I just had to keep walking, ibuprofen, knee sleeves on to keep it moving. And then the next day, I was crippled and I couldn't continue competing. That I was really embarrassed. And I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I cried, embarrassed, because I wanted to show that a power lifter, newbie, they can go to nationals and do well. And I failed. And I was in pain. And then that led into our Raw Nationals. That was 2 weeks later. And I didn't know what I could do. I had no idea. I actually lifted heavy 2 days out because I figured out my injury. The more I lifted, it actually was healing, believe it or not. So I had to keep pushing to go heavier every session, squatting. Like I couldn't squat 405 like a week out. I couldn't. But like 5 days out, doing 405, I was fine. So I had to keep slowly adding weight. And when it came to nationals, and my friend Marty, he was my handler, I'm like, we're going to put in low ball numbers for openers, and we're going to see how warm-ups go. And I doubted myself. That was, you know what? That was like the most darkest competition. I was more disappointed and saddened at nationals last year than Reykjavik, hands down. And I doubted myself. I didn't, no idea what I could do in the dark. And my body proved me wrong. And your body knows when when it's game on. It just knows when it needs to be there for you. In my opinion, it does for me. It did for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to word it. I'm bad with words at times.
No,
I'm
that's
really
okay.
bad.
Yeah.
But it proved me wrong. And like I upped like my squats and deadlifts, I think I upped it 10, 15 kilos from like the numbers I originally put in from my openers. Like, Marty, up my opener. This is it. Let's go. And yeah, like that was most disappointing. Well, not disappointing, but like doubting myself. I did hardcore. Yeah. I know, like that rant.
Do you think there's anything that you kind of learned from that you take forward now in your lifting? Something to like help you prevent getting to that place where you're doubting yourself and those kinds of things?
I just never doubt myself, because you never know what the body has in store. Because my body knew it was game on. And we're going to push and do every pound, every kilo we can do on that platform where it matters. And it just saved and reserved its energy, I think, somehow, and just execute it when needed. And it didn't need to execute beforehand. And it did on the platform.
So you just got to trust yourself, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Cool.
So who'd you say?
You guys are stumped. Oh, never mind.
No. Who would you say maybe some of your biggest inspirations have been over the years? And it doesn't necessarily need to be powerlifters, but yeah.
Well, like obviously the sport most exposed to are powerlifters. Like I am getting into strongman and learning the ladies and whatnot and that. But I like to look up to the older lifters, the master lifters. Those are the ones that paved us in the sport. And like as when people post old pictures, I'm like, I met that person. I know that person. I was at that competition. Like Wade Hooper, I was tickled pink to meet him, and like Brad Gillingham and like Tony Harris and of course Dave Ricks. And oh gosh, there's just so many. Where am I going blank on others? But like even the strongman competitors from back in the day, like Phil Pfister, even Mariusz Pudzianowski. You know what? That was cool to meet him. He actually was in Austria in 2007 at our competition. He was there for days, and cheering people on, and even did this yoke expedition little thing while he was there. And so it's a lot of just OG strength athletes, and getting into strongman, like of course my twin Brittany, I love my friend Emily, and like even like Omaha Barbell, I love my friend Mel. There's just people from all over of different inspirations of like mental health and physical and like different lifts. I kind of go all over the place. I don't have just one. Like each lifter can give you inspiration. Like this person inspires me on bench, this one on deadlift, this one on log press. Donna Moore, I love her to death. Like look forward to like meeting her again and lifting with her, you know, and like all the things she's gone through. Um, there's so many. I'm guilty of that.
I was tickled
Sorry.
pink to meet Hooper too. Don't worry.
I was just like, dude, because 2007 Open Worlds, that was the first one of men and women combined. So in USA Powerlifting, our nationals were separate. So the women, I could never meet any of the men. It was only the USA Powerlifting magazine. That's all you could see them in. There wasn't Facebook those early years. You could only see them in the powerlifting magazine. And so, like, when Worlds was combined, it's like, oh, I get to meet all these other guys like Tony Cardella, Irving Gaynor. Oh, there's other lifters. I can't remember everybody. But, like, to be around them was so cool. Like, and be exposed to them. And then 2014 was the last women's and men separated, and when we've been together since 2015. So it's just like you're bringing the community closer together finally, you know?
So is that something you aspire to, is to like be around for the long haul and be that masters lifter who's still just kicking ass and taking names for decades?
That's the goal. The goal is keep lifting. Never stop lifting. Never stop training. Keep moving. I just want to go as far as I can in the sport and just keep going.
Yeah, I think that's pretty inspirational. I think that's a really good goal to have for sure. So now looking at the other perspective of that, if you could, take, a 15-year-old Bonica and give her some advice for lifting or training or whatever, what would you impart to yourself if you could?
Just never stop lifting, of course. I regret that so much, those 5 years not lifting. But high school doesn't last forever. I kind of had that mentality, like I had that, but high school isn't going to be there forever. And like, I'm so shocked to this day that I can inspire other women, other lifters. Like, and it's like, you are going to make a path and like, you're going to lead a legacy or just leave. You're going to have a stamp in history of the sport. It may not look like it now, but you're going to just keep going. Don't stop, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Never stop lifting. That's the biggest thing. Never stop lifting. But just don't stop.
So kind of more of maybe a little jokey of a question is, do you have any what's your closest call in equipped lifting? And I mean that, and that's more of like a maybe scary moment or, something that maybe gear kind of threw you out of the path and you ended up on your ass or.
Well, when I was in high school, there was a competition. When I did deadlifts, my third attempt, I did land on my back in a deadlift suit, and like you're like a turtle, you can't get up. That was high school, and I was the last lift of the day. Like there's four platforms, last lifter, and did it. I did push the bar. I knew, like, oh, I'm going. Push the bar.
Right.
Like that's the most when I fell. I don't know, like I don't get that many missed attempts. Oh no. The time that I was like really stressed out was Czech Republic Worlds for squats. When we didn't have that many lifters, us ladies, us super heavyweights have not been having that many lifters. We get like 5 or 6 and it's cardio. And it's insane. It's fast. But that competition, that's when I learned if there's not that many lifters, screw it, skip your second attempt and go balls to walls on your third. And so I did my first attempt of whatever it was. And then my second attempt was to chip the record. And I sat down and it felt like only a minute and a half. It probably was. But all of a sudden, Jeff is rapping me again. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you're whatever out. I'm like, what? My heart rate was still beating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to rest, so your heart rate goes down. I was like I would say 75% recovered, but you're still like a little fluttery. And like you can see in the video, you can see it when I'm getting up to do that was the world record attempt. It's like standing up. I didn't feel good. It wasn't positioned right. And it's like, just do whatever you tell everybody else. Get under the bar, stand up strong. I was coaching myself through that second attempt. And I just stood up, one step, all right, we're out of the rack. Two step, all right, our stance. Third, all right, just make it through this lift. Get this record. Just get it. Bury it and get up. Like legit, that's what I was thinking throughout that attempt. And squat, get down, up, and then rack. And I'm like, I'm not doing a third. Like that was like scary, like equipment story for me.
Right.
Like,
because I'm imagining you don't normally have to like walk yourself through every little tiny bit of your squat, right? By this point, it's probably pretty natural, even in the gear, like pretty just, you kind of go out there and you do what you do. But this was like, okay, one step, another step.
yes,
like
exactly.
really kind of, yeah.
I was coaching myself because I wasn't recovered. I was not fully recovered. And then like that squat was easy. I'm like, it didn't feel easy. It felt like you're ricketing out of the hole. Oh, and then I was so pissed off, I just deadlifted raw. That's how tired I was. There was not enough rest. I'm more frustrated how the rule is the 20 minutes starts once the last lifter is done lifting. That is not fair. So it's like, well, I'm always at a disadvantage. Like huge.
Being last, yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and so I'm more like get 15 minutes of warming up. You know, it's just like, why can't it be the rule when the bar, like the platform is set up for the next lift and then 20 minutes? And then I was told, well, that's not fair to the lifters that go first. Well, they get 20 more time to rest. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to be that.
Yeah, they're not going to be upset.
That, right? Yeah. Nobody's going to be like, I had too much time between lifts.
Yeah.
How dare you? I had an extra sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, that's also stressful. It's just like when Becky and I, when we were in Sweden, we got done in an hour and 45 minutes, I think.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and so that's when I skipped my second attempt again, and I did it. I think I did at the World Games too. Did I? I think I skipped my second. I don't remember. Yeah, because no, I didn't. No, I passed my third. I passed my third at the World Games, but I knew what I was getting myself into in Sweden. And I told James at Bench Nationals, I'm like, James, we're doing a first attempt. We're skipping the second. We're doing a third. I don't care. We're doing so I did game plan.
There you go. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
But that was a scary moment. Just when you're not recovered, like it's just when you're too tired and you have to try to have that on your back.
Well, I mean, that's when things go wrong often, right? Is when you're not recovered or when you're not doing things as you normally would. Yeah. Our next question is, do you have one raw lifter that you'd love to see go equipped? Can you think of any?
Well, Kim Wofford.
Yeah.
Kim, I want to see Kim come equipped.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Now she has done some deadlift onlys. She's done some deadlifts and equipment, so
that doesn't count.
It's true. No, I agree.
Full power. Of course, everybody wants to see Ray. That's an obvious. So I'm taking the obvious out of the picture.
Yeah.
But I don't think people think of Kim. And it's like, so that's the thing about this new age of lifting. Everybody thinks it's just raw. And it's like, Equip's been around for a few years, and Kim did lift Equip people. She wasn't just raw. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, she was an Equip lifter and a badass back then. Like, she was going after the deadlift record with Priscilla Rebet. And, like, she was always there battling out with her. And that would be epic. And obviously, I can go against Marta now. And Anna Castillion. Like, that would be exciting.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
If Kim hears this, we all want that to happen.
She'll find out. She's like, how dare you say that? I'm like, what? People need to know you lift Equip. What you talking about?
And our last question we have is, do you have any concrete goals you're kind of aiming for right now with your nationals here in maybe 8 weeks or 9 weeks or 10 weeks, and then maybe even further to hopefully Norway?
Well, I wanted to squat 750 in Dubai. That didn't happen because I did more than 700 in training. So I still, I'll say it like, yeah, I want to squat 750. I want to break, for Equip 500 on bench finally. I know I have it in me, but every competition, there's a reason why I didn't get to do that number. I should have done it in Dubai. I just should have. Oh well. And deadlift, of course, we all want to break 600. And so when it just comes to raw, baby steps, because that's different. Like equipment, it supports you, but you're still using your body, of course, to lift. Like raw, baby steps. So I just want to do like 625-ish, because those are, smaller jumps. Like bench, 350 would be nice. And then deadlift, of course, try to break that 600. Because, like a deadlift suit, you do get carryover, but then you don't. Like, helps and help not. I don't know. For me, anyway. Help and help not. That's a good sentence.
It's a lot less of an impact, I think, in the deadlift for sure.
Yeah.
Especially,
but still.
Usually you pull sumo, right? Conventional, back and forth?
I have no idea what my max is. I have no idea because every competition, just like World Games, we pulled for the win. Right. Sweden, it was just too damn tired. Czech Republic, I did it raw. There's just like deadlift kind of just sacrificed itself.
Right.
It gets killed some one way or another.
It's just what you need to do what you came to do.
I want to max in it.
Right.
Or so after Reykjavik Games, my back was still hurting when I came back. I didn't squat or deadlift for a month, but I had to start training equipped. So 2019, my back was just trying to recover. And so it would always be fried when I got to deadlifts. So the suit did help and protect me, but I didn't max. I didn't get to do what I want because I was tired. I mean, not me, it was just the back itself, the whole muscles were good. So that's the goal. Let's just find out what my damn max is in deadlift. Let's find out.
That's good. I'd like to see that. I'd like to find out as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's the goal.
All right. So if people want to kind of follow along with your lifting or find out more about you, where can people find you on the internets?
Instagram. I am simple. I do that. And it's Bubbly Powerlifter. I think it fits my personality.
And do you have any shout outs or anything that you're working on that you want to plug or anything like that?
Well, shout out to you guys for asking me to do this. I'm so honored and in shock. I think it's really cool. So thank you.
Thank you for coming on and giving us your time.
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to begin. Like I said, there's so many people that helped me in my journey. So go to Bob's. It's my friends Bo and Mike. They and Sid. They always spot me on bench one. They stop their workout and they come help me. And then the whole team at Omaha Barbell. There's way too many people to name there. There's
That's
15
fair.
of us. But my coach Phil, he puts up with me when I have my sore days or something in life gets away, like car problems or I can't get to where I need to go. But of course, it's my powerlifting family sending me random messages and surprising me in my inbox with how I inspire them. There can never be just one person. And of course, Jeff and James, they always check in on me every once in a while too. So there's no way it can be just one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that one thing that you seem to really, really hold dear is that whole idea of a powerlifting family thing. And I think that's just such an important aspect of the sport that I think for somebody who maybe is listening from the outside or looking in from the outside, I think that's one of the things that keeps a lot of us doing this for as long as we do. So thank you for sharing your perspectives on that. It's been really fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Nice compliments. Please.
All right, cool. All right, we want to thank you for listening to the Equipped, Bruised, and Tired podcast. We're going to be available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever fine podcasts are found. So make sure to leave your 5-star rating if you enjoyed the show and a review as well, and or check out our video version of the show on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions for ourselves, guest suggestions, or questions for our guests, you can go ahead and contact us at equippedbruisedtired@gmail.com and make sure to do your part to spread the word of the Equipped Renaissance. We'll see you next time.